Welcome back to Four Sisters, where we will give you tips on self-care, self-awareness, self-confidence, and show you all the ways you can love yourself. So get ready to laugh, cuss, cry, and pray. Welcome back. We're here for episode 9, I think it is.
Woo woo.
Holding tight. How has everyone's week?
Yeah. Mine's been okay. I mean, it's short week yet jam-packed, so.
That's the word, jam-packed. I think I seen 50 lemon classes.
Well, truth is, I'm tired. It's been a long week. It's been a long, trying week. But greater things are on the horizon, so amen to that.
Amen. Hallelujah.
So yeah. What you got for us, Dani?
So this week in rants, reads, and resolutions, I have a rant and a read.
Ooh.
I have a rant and a read because I couldn't decide on which one was more important, so I said, we're going to do both.
And I have a resolution.
We ain't got no resolutions. Ain't no resolutions. So with the rant, so the basis of my my rants, reads, and resolutions section is the Breakfast Club interview with Dr. Ramik Hunt. The interview talked about obesity versus being overweight. It talked about lifestyle changes. He also talked about why people struggle with weight loss. So he gave us a lot of good information about like this hormone that's produced in your stomach called ghrelin. And with ghrelin, it controls your set weight. So when you gain a lot of weight, it creates it as your set weight. And what ghrelin does is no matter how much you lose weight, it causes you to think that you need to go back to your set weight. So it makes you more starved, or it makes you crave more, etc. So he was really giving us like a lot of facts. He even said people try 5 to 7 times to lose weight before they actually lose weight. So to me, it was a good interview. Now here enters my rant. Charlamagne the God is normally my favorite person on the radio because he says the things that a lot of people don't say. But sometimes he puts his whole foot in his mouth. Sometimes I got to tell him, like, you got to shut up, like, forever. So the issue that became, like, if you watch the interview, was very uncomfortable. So the issue was that Charlamagne the God says it only takes 3 things for people to lose weight: willpower, exercise, and to eat right. And it's easy as pie. What Ramik was saying is there are many things that impact weight loss, like hormones, that ghrelin thing I was telling you about, mental health, like depression, medical issues, thyroid, or metabolism, etc. And so what he was saying is if you just boil down weight loss to those 3 things, you're not going to be successful. And everybody's in a different stage of their life, and everybody lives a different life. It's not like a baseline where everybody just does the same 3 things. But what Charlamagne kept doing was inserting said foot into his mouth by continuing to say, all you're trying to do is pump us with drugs. All you're trying to do is push weight loss surgeries. You don't really believe it. All you're trying to do is make sugarcoat it for people. What he's saying is that, will it work for me? It should work for everybody else. But what he was not assessing was the fact that if you are in therapy, you should know better about the stages of change. You are in therapy, you should know about how things impact you. So he talks about he goes to therapy every Friday at 3 o'clock. We know that. He said every day on episode. But the thing that really pissed me off was like he was really minimizing and talking down on people, saying, well, y'all are fat because you're choosing it. You're choosing not to willpower for the rest of your life. First of all, willpowering every day for the rest of your life is impossible. Mm-hmm. Period. That's like saying, you know what? I'm going to go without bread for the rest of my life. See how that works. So the thing that really pissed me off was like, to me, he was being very condescending, and he was pretty much very fast to judge. Not slow to judge, fast to judge, because he was saying to us that, but you're fat because you choose to be fat. Like Kanye said, slavery was a choice, and saying fat is a choice. Yeah. And so that pissed me off because even Dr. Ramik said statistically, 50% of United States, all Americans, are obese. He said if you add the people who are overweight, which is just 20, 30, 40 pounds, which is not considered obese, then you're going up to 90% of Americans. So Charlamagne is talking from the minority of 10% of you are actually fit. If you look at the 90%, you yell out to 90% of the people at a concert and say 90% of you just fat because you chose it, then all the 10% gonna get beat up.
Child, all 10% must be on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's who be on Instagram. The 10%.
But see, the 10%, you have to subtract the folks that do your flat tummy teas and your diuretics, get cosmetic surgery. You have to subtract those people from the 10%. So it's really like 1% of y'all out here working out. Mm. Take out all the people who, drink protein shakes and laxatives and, do all these fad diets. Take all those folks out. Now it's 0.5% of y'all that's really. You see how I subtract that?
You got
real low.
Slim him.
Yeah. So it's just like 0.5% of the United States of Americans are freaking on time when it comes to weight and exercise and willpower. They're right there on time. But now to my read. I'm tired of all you in shape folks.
Ooh.
Yes. I'm tired of all you, because I'm going to generalize this and I'm going to make it all you in shape folks. All you in shape folks.
So you're about to in shape shame.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. To the people who are in shape that think that people are choosing to be fat, let me make that specific. There's a lot of people that motivate their friends and their coworkers, etc., to say, you know what, we need to lose weight together. But for all you out there who are just pointing your fingers at somebody else, like, well, she fat, she on 600-pound lipo because she want the check. No, she was 600 pounds before she even got on the show. Mm-hmm. You have to understand, people are going through a lot of things in life. There are people who deal with depression that emotionally eat. That's how they cope. They don't know no better. You got to remember, we grew up with Kool-Aid. We grew up with ramen noodles. We grew up with bologna sandwiches. We grew up with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Ain't none of that healthy. So you have to also remember the generational aspect. You were pointing fingers at people who may not even know how to eat right. They may not even know what eating right is. A lot of people think, I'm going to eat a salad and I'm eating right. But no, it's other things that go into that. How much water are you drinking, etc. What are you eliminating from your diet, not what you're just adding to your diet? Are you going to Zaxby's to get a salad and still eating the bread? Like, what kind of things are you doing? But when you're pointing your finger and you're saying to somebody that you don't really want to lose weight, you want to be out of shape, you want to look like that, it dehumanizes and demeans somebody because you don't know how much they have tried to get to where they are. And what it does is then sets them backwards. And then they got to start all over again. And I don't think people realize that if people really wanted to be fat, they would, but they really do try. But you are really just going in on people who may not even have the self-confidence to take that criticism. So then it goes back to Charlamagne the God. You're saying these things to your viewers, and you don't know which viewer you've hurt or hindered from the process of weight loss. Drops mic.
Drop it, because I felt that in my soul of my head, child. Jesus.
So now
she went out here to preach.
What is your resolution? Because I say F them, but go ahead.
Well, my resolution is that perhaps Charlamagne should choose his words more wisely. Perhaps he was trying to articulate something poorly. Mm-mm. I don't know.
If you watch that interview, he literally said it. The interview was like 54 minutes. He said it over and over. And he even criticized, first of all, Charlamagne to God, and from what I've learned about him, is a black man from Charleston, South Carolina, who got a GED, who came up in the radio game. I don't remember him ever getting a doctorate, MB. He ain't got no degrees. So how are you having an argument with a doctor? That's like you going to your primary care doctor and they be like, hey girl, you got sickle cell. You be like, nah, I don't. And they be like, no, but here's the labs. Nah, I don't believe it. You just be like, but I mean, like, I got this whole degree on the wall that says I specialize in, that's just paper.
And you came to me.
Yeah, you came to me. You paid the copay. But like, the guy literally came up there because he was fat shaming. That was the gist of the interview. Angela Yee had him come up there to educate him, and he was non-responsive to the education of what it is.
Because Charlamagne trolls too. So was this like a troll interview, or was it a sincere troll?
When he trolled, because I watch enough interviews to know, he wasn't trolling this time. He
felt this in his heart.
Yeah, like DJ Envy made this analogy. He was just like, well, really, all you got to do is just stop eating bad things. I'm on this 30-day cleanse, and he said they had red velvet waffles and chicken up there for whatever reason. And he said everybody went over there and got it. He said, and I decided I wasn't going to do it. It's willpower. I said, but you're not going to do that every time those daggone red velvet waffles and that chicken up there. You're not going to willpower that.
And so here's my thing. When it comes to willpower, I think willpower is very important. But the thing about willpower is that you've got to be at a good state mentally in order for you to willpower through something.
Right.
And so if people are emotionally eating, or there are other things that are caught, like mental health things that are causing them to turn to food, then you've got to get your mental together so that you can get to the point where you willpower through weight loss.
Right.
But so I guess my resolution for Mr. Charlemagne, because I try to give grace. Perhaps the thing that will be helpful for him is to not assert his opinions as facts.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because he doesn't know what people are going through. So perhaps if there were someone in his life who were overweight or obese and he saw their struggle, then perhaps that would allow him to empathize more. But until then...
He was fat at one point. You better go back 10 years, remember when your ass was fat, and think about that.
Well, then maybe that's where he's coming from a place of, I will power through it so you can too.
But how long was he fat compared to how long was he...
Listen, I am not saying that he is right. I'm giving us a lens to view him.
No, girl.
So maybe that is why he is simplifying it, because that's a defense mechanism for him. But what we should all try to practice and do when it comes to things is allow people to live their life and get to where they need to be in that time frame. Not judging people because they're overweight and saying that it's a choice, because you don't know what things have led them to make this quote unquote choice to be fat.
Mind your business until you get some Carfax.
Yes.
And the thing that kills
y'all
me
know
about
I'm all about minding your business ministry.
But the thing about Charlemagne, he was so, and I'm not trying to be funny, he was so against this guy talking about pills and weight loss surgery. Charlemagne had dark spots on his face. Am I correct? Didn't he get help to get the dark stuff off his face? So you're okay with, when your skin tone is not even, to put whatever cream or get whatever it was to even your skin color out, because you were not okay with it. But then you're fat shaming people who get weight loss surgery. Isn't that apples and apples?
You know, when somebody's nerve get touched, they don't know how to handle it, so they project on.
Exactly, and that's the point that I'm making. He clearly was projecting here, and it's like we could spend a whole bunch of time ranting about him, or we could just be like, Charlemagne's sick and shut in right now too. Just pray. Pray for him to do a better job at minding his business and letting people be what they are.
Yeah. Sorry guys, that was my rant, read, and Sasha's resolution.
But it was important and it was good.
Yes.
Right.
It was.
That's an important
You said
thing.
a whole mouthful. You let the people know.
Coming in with the fire.
So now to Kay's Corner.
All right. Okay. So today we're actually going to give Charlemagne some tips and everyone some tips about this whole concept of change. Change does not happen in the flash of an eye. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care how you break it down. You didn't just wake up and change. That's just, it's a process. There are stages to it, and I'm here to talk about the stages to it. And before we even talk about the stages, there are different reasons that help people to gain the motivation to change. It can be health concerns. It can be people around you are concerned about you, and you finally take it in. You're concerned, or you're just tired of being the same old you, so you change.
Just want to have your stomach out during the summer.
Okay. But that's for you. Change.
Yeah, it is.
But we're going to go through the stages of change and kind of sort of break them down. The first stage of change is pre-contemplation. Pre-contemplation means you're not even thinking about change. People might be around you telling you you need to change, or you have changed, and etc. The biggest piece of this for me is listening. When you're in that pre-contemplating stage and people are trying to help you, probably step back and see what they're trying to say so you can make it to the next stage. Because everyone that says you changed or something's off about you is not a hater. Like, they're not trying to lead you in the wrong direction. J. Cole said it best in my opinion. He said, look young. I don't think that's what he said. He said, the good news is, in words, you came a long way, but the bad news is you went the wrong way. So people sometimes are trying to help you, and sometimes you just got to step back and see that. But a lot of times people in pre-contemplation, they're just not in the mindset to actually take that in and start to make some changes. But there's a next stage that when you actually get to the contemplation stage, that means you're actually thinking about it. That's all you're doing. You're just thinking about it. You're playing with the idea.
You're like,
change.
ooh, I should stop eating cheesecake so that I can lose weight. I'm thinking about it.
And even further, on off of the weight loss, when we think about alcohol, we see this time and time again on my timeline is one day you get overly intoxicated, you put that same status.
I ain't never drinking again.
I ain't never drinking again. I ain't touching it again. And 3 hours later, like the little sponge. You remember the SpongeBob thing? It was like 3 hours later, every day we lit. Like, so you out here throwing that the next time.
Woo.
See, you were just contemplating. You thought about it. It was a good thought, but you ain't taking no further than that. The next stage is preparation and preparation basically is finding and developing a plan. So you think you need to change, and now you're in the stage of, let me figure out how can I change and what are the steps I need to make to change. And the next step is action. Action, to me, takes me back to like that elementary times where you're in your science class and they say like developing a hypothesis. Basically, you're trying to figure out how you can get the results that you're looking for. So you're creating that plan of action to actually test out and see if it actually works.
A small test of change.
The small test of change.
Today, I'm going to drink 1 glass of water.
Yes. The next one is maintenance. That's after you've it may take you a few times in the actions process to even find an effective routine to help you maintain the actual behavior that you're trying to change. So be mindful of that too. But the maintenance stage means you're successfully modified and changed whatever behavior you were trying to change. Sometimes you go into this last stage, but sometimes you don't. It's a relapse. So you may go back into the same negative behavior or behavior you changed in the first place. Those are all of the stages of change. Anything you guys want to add?
I will say one thing that people don't realize is how often you toggle between pre-contemplation and contemplation. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm in action. I'm like, nah, you really in pre-contemplation and contemplation because you really don't until you really put all of your might and research and kind of sit down and create a plan. You're not actually doing anything but thinking about it. People will be like, I'm gonna go to the gym today, and they'll be like, that's action. Did you go? Then you in pre-contemplation, contemplation, because you're just thinking about it. Anybody can say, I'm going to eat healthy or I'm going to drink a glass of water, but at the end of the day, did you actually do it? So a lot of the aspects of the plan aspect of it is evaluation. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Mm-hmm. And are you being very aware of what your plan is? So.
It's so interesting that you say that.
I think, okay, it's important also to realize that, sometimes if you happen to get to that relapse phase, that it's okay. We're all human and we make mistakes, but to get back on the horse and try it again, I think oftentimes when that happens, people beat themselves up so hard about oh my God, I ain't never gonna do it. Story of my life, but I'm never gonna do it. I can't do it or whatever. But it's okay. Sometimes we make mistakes or sometimes we fall off, but we have to remember to get back on. Mm-hmm. So that's important.
Yep. Personal disclosure: I've been on my diet or changing my eating lifestyle since about February. I have a few. I call it cheat days, but I know that's my way of making an excuse, but. The reason I've been able to maintain so long these last couple of months versus the previous years is that I humanized my failures. And to say that, okay, you messed up today, Kate, you can do it again tomorrow. You can restart. It isn't that end all be all that you can't come back from it.
You're not going to willpower the rest of your life.
Right. I fall victim of bread. I fell victim of bread yesterday.
Yeah, I done fell victim to everything in this last week. I've had a cheat week.
But that's excusing cookouts, excusing going on vacation and things like that. When you're on 8-hour road trips, you ain't gonna stop at the healthiest thing. You're gonna stop at the fastest thing, right? Or the cheapest thing.
So you ain't cheap, FYI.
Okay.
I can get
Don't
a
I
4
know?
for $4, and it's still $2 more to get a salad.
And that's me in my contemplation stage. I really contemplate that when I go through that drive-through.
And now I want a 4 for $4.
Okay. But
All
like
right.
you were saying, I'm going to bring it back to what you were saying. I call that giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. You're not perfect. None of us are. And so just let yourself fuck up sometimes. Like, my bad. You messed up. Oops. All right.
I'll do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, no, not I'll do better tomorrow. I'll do better right now. Right now, I'm going to do something else that's helpful to me.
Well, it depends on what part of the day you at.
No, you can always do better. No matter what part of the day.
Then I gotta do better tomorrow.
No, maybe you can, like, you know,
Go on to the system.
take your multivitamin before bed.
Well, thank you guys for chiming in on Kay's Corner, and everyone out there in the podcast world. Write those stages of change down and see where you're at in the different stages of your life, period.
Yes.
And see how you can get to the next step.
And be okay with where
And
you're
be
at.
okay.
All right.
All right, so, this week we've kind of already started talking about stages of change. But let's, go ahead and I'm going to piggyback off of that discussion a little bit and ask y'all some very specific questions. Question number 1 being, right now, if there was one thing that you could change and you knew you couldn't fail at that thing, what would it be?
Discipline. I lack discipline a lot of the times. I have great ideas in different areas of my life, like when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to work, when it comes to etc. But I lack the discipline to implement anything. And I think a lot of it is like, oh, there's Bird. Let me go over here and follow it. Or like, oh, there's more, interesting things going on in the world. So let me go follow that. Social media, whatever, that gets me off of my path. So I think being able to discipline myself to really focus on one thing would be my thing.
And I'll piggyback off that because that's very important. And mine is execution.
Mm-hmm.
I am poor with executing a plan. I might have the discipline, but that fear might keep me from actually executing. Okay. And so I go back to pre-contemplation and contemplation. Like, is it right? Is it there? Like, am I ready? So, yeah.
Well, I would have to say is all of those things and procrastination. Like, if I could just take that away and bury it in the sand and burn it and singe it, everything, I would do that because procrastination will be the death of my life because I can have plans, I can have all these things, I will wait to the last minute to do it, and then I can't do it, and then it's a whole thing about time management, and it just spirals out of control, and then I'm just like, well, screw it, I don't care about nothing anyway, so I'll just,
What meant to be.
Right. So that's something that I would definitely change.
Well, I'm looking at you like what she said because clearly she's just crying about procrastination yesterday.
That's Sasha's middle name. Can't get it done. Sasha can't get it done.
You see how I gave you grace and I let you live?
Everybody need grace.
Okay, I'm gunning for you. Remember this moment, listeners, because your ass is mine. Yes, procrastination is just a thing for me. It is so bad. Every time I find myself procrastinating and I get to my lowest and I'm like, I'll never do this again. I'm going to learn from this. And then I find myself back in that same position again. I'll be like, the last time I said that I would never do this again. And now it is worse. So yeah, procrastination would definitely be my weakness. I think we all kind of answered our weakness in that question. So tell me specifically what is one thing right now that you would work on changing? Like one actionable item.
I would say weight loss. I say weight loss because my weight loss is directly tied, well, most people's is tied to their confidence and their self-esteem. And I think that to me, that's the one missing piece to my confidence and self-esteem. So I feel like if I could get that managed, I could move forward with my confidence and self-esteem.
Okay.
Mine would be saying no.
Ooh.
I don't say no enough, and I stretch myself too thin. And as a result, I suffer in the long run. So I would change the ability to actually, like, I know no's a complete sentence and whatnot, but sometimes you give. So
Yep.
I would change that and be able to like have a lot more time to me and focus on.
I don't know. I think I would say weight loss because I'm still trying to figure out how I got here.
You should set weight. We had that conversation. That gremlin.
Right. That's one thing that like, and other things like I've found myself being able to.
My bad.
So weight loss. There's lots of things that I feel like, at least in this past year, I've been able to work towards, and I know that I'm going to do. But when it comes to weight loss, this is the thing that I have struggled with so much. And I think Dani touched on it a little bit about just part of being self-confident. Like, I go back and forth with like, well, you know what? I am a little chunky. I'm going to rock my chunkiness and own it. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, girl, no. So I would say that that'd be something.
I will say one thing though. I have taken steps to what Cici said, own the fact that I'm in.
You're jumping. We ain't got there yet. So I think my thing, because y'all hit some very good points when it comes to what your goals are. And so the goal that I'm choosing for myself is that I want to be more accepting of myself, because I feel like I want to lose weight and I want to do time management things and this and this and this and this and this. But one of my biggest barriers is the fact that I get really frustrated with myself, or I feel like I need to do stuff a certain way, or this has got to happen. And so I want my thing to be, to be kinder to me. That's my goal.
Sounds familiar.
Now, the reason why I scaled the question back and asked you what was the one thing you wanted to change was because as soon as I asked you what you wanted to change, we all talked about what our flaws were, but we didn't give ourselves an actionable step of something that we wanted to work on.
Well, I just joined a 16-week weight loss program yesterday, and the reason why is because I overate this last week. I've overeaten, and so my step was I'm going to force myself to join this program because I don't like wasting money. I'll force myself to join this program and then follow suit with all the things they have required of me for the next 16 weeks. And hopefully that will create 30 days of doing consistent behavior. And then that will kind of shine through for the rest of my willpower life.
Thank you. Because I turned this segment into an accountability conversation. Mm-hmm. So you've given us your actionable steps towards your goal. Cici?
To be honest with you, I don't even know, because I know I want to lose weight. I really don't know for me how I can go about that. I have gone to the dietitian. I've talked with the dietitian and tried a little bit of something, but I probably am in pre-contemplation phase. I'm out here thinking about what I'm going to do, and I really don't know yet.
Well, I'm going to let you contemplate while I ask Kay the same question. And I want you to tell me one thing. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. One small test of change that you want to work on to help with your weight loss goal. All right, Miss Kay.
Since mine was no, I'm going to start turning y'all down for events, especially eating events and things of that sort. So I'm going to be saying
no. Time out.
What?
You ain't gotta do us like that.
Not y'all.
Oh, what you say, y'all?
Everybody in the podcast world that reach out to me, people sitting in this room, I am going to turn y'all down.
Not every time.
Every time.
Tell us no when you need to, girl. I'm supporting you.
Just not all the time.
Not all the time. Okay. Sometimes I'm going to tell you guys no, and just don't be mad. Well, I don't care if you get mad, but I used to. That really touched a really sore spot in my heart that I didn't want people to be mad at me. But that goes all the way back. But go ahead.
So, I've kind of started this yesterday because, players mess up. And so that's my small test to change is that I want to, whenever I find myself saying negative things about myself, then I want to stop and be like, okay, you messed up, and give myself some grace, and then try one thing to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that one thing is just being like, you messed up, go listen to your music real quick and go back.
You know what? One thing I think I can do is I compare myself with everybody else who's going through weight loss changes and they're going through their journey. And I oftentimes compare myself like, like they're doing this, like, why can't I do it? So I just need to stop comparing myself with everybody else because everybody's journey is going to be different.
Boom, look at that.
That's a great step.
That is a good step. So look at us out here identifying our flaw. Then we said what our goal was, and we did one step of something that we're going to try out. And so we can check back in like a month and see how we're doing when it comes to our goal. Y'all hold us accountable out here in the podcast world.
No,
we're like,
accountable.
Hold her accountable. So yeah, that was just an example of how you jump from the stages. It was like, okay, we were all contemplating something, and so then we made a plan, and now we're gonna try to put that plan into action. And part of our steps is like, okay, even if we relapse, our goal is to give ourselves grace about the fact that we relapse. So cool. All right, now to my other questions. What do you think is people's biggest barrier to change, to like actually putting the work in?
So their barrier or my personal barrier?
Either.
Well, my personal barrier is people. There's always somebody in your ear, your left and your right. So I gotta know how to like zone those people. Well, I'm learning now. I'm better at it. Of zoning those people out because you're going to have an opinion on this side, you're going to have an opinion on this side, you're going to have a little bit of fact in the front, and then you're going to have your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Contemplating all of those things that are already cycling in your brain. So I'm trying to tune out too many opinions.
Yeah.
And I think that is my biggest barrier, is listening to everybody.
I think one of the things for me and maybe other people is fear. It's fear of the unknown. Fear of, you want to get to this goal. How is that going to happen? Like, it's just, you don't know what to expect. And when you're in a state, even if it's healthy or unhealthy, it's comfortable because you know all about what's going on with that. So to step out to do something new, that's scary. And for me, that's a huge barrier for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you real raw, and this is why I'm lazy and I make a lot of excuses. Like I'm just gonna throw that. Like I'm one of the laziest people because like here's disclosure. I bought a laptop. I bought a laptop like
What'd you do with it?
I bought a laptop the year before last, and I was like, I'm gonna get my life together, and I'm gonna get this laptop, and I'm gonna like master plan it up. And that laptop was turned on, I think, twice, maybe 3 times in the year that I had it. And then I ended up selling it because I was like, this is a waste of space. So then I bought another laptop earlier this year. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get my life together. I've actually been using that laptop. But, like, I'm lazy. I am the person who will go out and buy whatever it is to get it done and then be looking at it like, well, like I'm the type of person that go out and buy salad and let it sit in the refrigerator and let it go brown and be like, dang, I'm wasting money. But a lot of it's because I'm lazy and I make excuses for, oh, I'll eat it tomorrow, I'll cook it later, I'll do this later, etc., etc. And then like
preparation is hard work, man.
Yeah.
It exhausts you.
Yeah, but it ain't hard to make salad.
But listen. You had to go to the store and get the lettuce. You had to do.
Well, I went to the store because I wanted ice cream, and then I just so happened to buy lettuce because I was like, well, if I buy lettuce for the salad, then I'll feel better about eating this ice cream today.
So you got to work on your justification.
So that was my excuse. I was like, if I go to the store to get this ice cream, I gotta go get something healthy too. And then I ate all the ice cream, let the salad die.
Foolishness. So I guess I would say my barrier, and definitely something for other people too, is that I get overwhelmed. And so I can sit down and I can identify the problem and I can make a plan about how I'm going to correct the problem. But then once I start, sometimes it feels so big that it makes it hard for me to continue going on with that change. Or, I get in my own head about these small little failures or something like that, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, this task is too big, and so I'm just not even gonna do anything. I'm okay if I don't try it, I don't fail, and I like not failing. So wanting to succeed sometimes, and being overwhelmed by the idea of change is one of the barriers that I face. How do you get to the point though, like, you know what your barrier is, but like, how do you get to the point where you know that change is necessary?
When my doctor told me I was morbidly obese. No, seriously though. But yeah, like I think mine was medical. And then like when I went to my OBGYN, they made me write out like my family history. And that was a big, big rude awakening because like I looked at my family history and how susceptible I am to getting like diabetes or, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, etc. And it was kind of scary. So I think medical was the thing that was like, you have to change. Like, your life depends on it.
Okay.
And I think also with that being said, oftentimes people change when something tragic happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you hit rock bottom, then it's like, whoa, like I really need to figure out what's going on in life. I really do have to make some changes. And I think just being tired of being sick and tired,
Exactly.
How do you know change is necessary?
When I'm laying in my bed and can't get out, when my depression kick in.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to just escape away from the whole world. Ain't nobody really did nothing to me, but I know there's some things I need to change. And I don't be in the mindset to do it. There's just too much going on in my life, and I don't know how to escape it. I think I'm there right now, actually, guys.
I think you just escaped.
Me too. You and me both. This change conversation is not
It's
like
rough.
It's a real conversation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because I don't like talking about my fat all the time, but what I will say is when you address it, it's like it puts it. I mean, it is fat. But but when
mouth, girl.
but when you have to like put it in perspective, like it kind of makes me go back to what Charlamagne said. The willpower isn't necessarily like an action. It's really a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do that. Like it's really hard to think every day, like, and be aware.
Yeah.
Because like the thing that I like is some days I want to be thinking about my weight, but like you have to almost start every day being aware of the fact that you start this day off in this mindset and completely go the whole day like that. And it's so hard because like, we were just talking, it's donut day. I want to go get free donuts. But it's like, do I need that free donut? Because it's free. You can't turn free down.
But like we said, we're giving ourselves grace. There's going to be some days where you want to get a donut and your bigger goal is losing weight. But it's like, what's going to make you feel worse about yourself? Beating yourself up for getting this donut, or just being okay to like, all right, today I had a donut. Later on today, I'm going to run. I accomplished my goal.
Or you can run while you're eating your donut.
Sounds like a choking hazard, but I mean,
fast.
Live your life. But yeah, we all know that change is necessary whenever we hit rock bottom, whenever it just gets so uncomfortable that you don't have any other option. Mm-hmm. So then, but how do you change? Like, how do you push past that fear and that discomfort and all of these other things to just really say, like, all right, I'm going to take this action step. I'm going to do this thing, this one little thing to get me better.
For me, because I think Dani acknowledges in the Reads, Rants, and Resolution that it takes about 5 or 6 times to actually get to a state where you're actually in that action and constantly doing what you need to do to change. For me, my first step is going back to those 5 or 6 times and figuring out what is, like you said, a small stage of change that I need to activate. If I drunk 2 cups of Kool-Aid and I know that's not my goal, and I know it's going to be hard for me to just say that I'm going to drink 10 gallons of, well, not 10 gallons, but 100, what is it? Ounces, 160 ounces of water. I know that's probably not going to be a realistic goal. So I have to step back and say, what was the demise of my fail the first time or the third time? And how can I put a more acceptable or more reasonable goal into place this time?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's keeping me on the go now.
And I'll say, Dani also made a good point about the fact that when it comes to changing, you really have to be aware. And so, what has been helpful for me is being aware of the fact that I'm not perfect, being aware of the fact that I want to make these changes, being aware of the fact that I'm taking steps, and being aware of the fact that I'm making steps forward and backwards. Like, I'm just aware, and I look at it, I observe it, and I try to take the lessons out of every single thing that I do. Okay, today, right now I'm drinking water, but like later on, if I decided I want to go to Chick-fil-A and get a large lemonade with no ice, that was an L. But why did I do that? What was it about that lemonade that I really wanted? And so if I know that I love lemonade and I need to drink water, then how do I make those two things work? Do I let myself put lemon in my water? I'm getting the lemon that I like, but I'm also getting the water. Like, how do I meet myself in the middle so that eventually I get to the point where I'm making the full change that I want to get to? What about y'all, Rick and Fred?
That's a fact. Acknowledging that I need change for me, and that might not be for everybody, but also like having accountability, because sometimes there's some changes for me I can't do it by myself and I need support. And knowing when to ask for help and knowing how to get help, I think is a big thing.
I can't have accountability partners because most of my accountability partners, like, really, they don't empower me to keep. They empower me to keep going, but they also empower me to eat that donut. So that accountability kind of sort of cancels it out. But so,
and I think it just really depends on what it is. Yeah. Like, if you know, like, there's some things you just gonna have to do on your own. Yeah. But if you know that, like, the struggle and you need somebody, you need to have the right accountability partners. So that means you may need to go, if it's weight loss and you're struggling with that, if your friends aren't going to do it, then you have to make that step. Go to the dietitian, go to the whatever, to the gym, get a trainer, that kind of stuff, to get a disciplined person to be an accountability partner.
Yeah. That's like, don't be the person that's like, you know, I'm going to use my alcoholic friends to help me stop drinking. Like, don't be that person.
Right.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy, because, like, if we're all alcoholics, I can't give you any tools or resources because I'm in the same position you're in. Yeah. And I think a lot of the times, and this is no shade to anybody, we want to help each other, but we're not in a position to help each other. Like, I can't help you with weight loss because I don't have the answer. You know, we can all say, let's go walk around the parking lot at work, but I mean, we all in the same position when it comes to motivation and discipline, or etc. Yeah. So you kind of actually have to look and see, like, am I better off just doing it by myself?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't even, that's true. And then sometimes it's like, all right, let's just start somewhere. Just like this conversation, we were supposed to have one conversation. I was like, you know what? Actually, right now, thinking about it, all of us really are in a process of changing something. We're all going through a bunch of changes right now. And so our sister circle today is really about us committing to ourselves and that we're going to do one thing. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing, but we all acknowledge that something is wrong or something is off, and so we're going to commit to make one thing and then check back in with each other. But also know that it's okay that if we come back in a month and, you know, we didn't do what we said we were going to do, that's cool too. We know that we're in contemplation, pre-contemplation, and so cool, we'll move forward knowing that and figuring out what we need to do to kick ourselves into gear. Last question, how do you deal with it when family and friends won't change? Like, something that they're doing is harmful and they're a person that's not even noticing that what they're doing is wrong, so they're not going to change. How do you handle that?
Well, Jennifer Lewis said it best, and I always live by this rule. You got 3 chances. I can tell you 3 times or help you 3 times. After that, I'm not going to help. I might give you the resource at that point. I'm not going to help you anymore until you decide that you want change, because at this point, I'm a crutch. And so I need to step away and allow you that ability to fall. So it ain't much I can do.
I think it comes down to, like, talking about toxicity. Like, if you know that you are trying to change and you are really there and you're trying to make the steps and you still have somebody dragging you down, it's okay to be like, I'm going to have to cut my ties. I love you. You know, when you're ready to change, I'll rock with you, but at this point in time, we can't roll. And there's been a lot of things where in my personal life, like I don't drink. I used to, but I don't drink anymore. So I have to remove myself from a lot of those situations. And it's not because I don't care about the person, but I know where I'm trying to go. And sometimes I just can't be a part. And it's okay for you to be like, I just can't be a part. Like, you know,
and you can still deal with the person in segments. Like, we can still be cool. We just can't be cool in the same settings that we used to be cool in.
Yeah.
I would say boundaries, setting firm boundaries and stick them to them. Because a lot of the times you feel bad for people, or you want to give them a chance, and so you extend that 3 to maybe 4, and then it ends up being 12 times, and you're like, well, that defeated the purpose. I would say being strong in your boundaries, and also learning how to cuss, because sometimes you just gotta cuss folks out. And let me tell you something. The reason why you gotta cuss folks out is because they will try it with you, and you have to let them know. You can step out of character and let them know what it is and how long it will be. I think cussing has helped me a lot, because I think people, seriously, I think people really will try you, and you have to let them know the F you want. So learn how to cuss and be firm in your cussing. Be assertive in your cussing.
That's why I ain't never cussed nobody out, and I can tell them about what I need. But
hey, you're not. We're not a monolith. We're all different. It works for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you all hit on it. It's about standing firm in your boundaries, saying no, or whatever you got to do to keep yourself safe. And at the end of the day, what I remind myself is that it's not my responsibility to change anybody. It's not. It's only my responsibility to make sure that me and myself is contributing to society. I make sure that I keep myself good, so that my BS and drama and issues aren't being deflected or reflected on somebody else. And I let people live their own same truth. If you are where you are, I love you beside you, or if I have to love you from a distance, it's no hard feelings, but like I let people be who they are, and I don't try to change them. If I see something and I need to speak on it, I'll speak on it. But after that, you make your decisions, and I'm gonna make the decisions that I need to make for myself. I guess on a closing note, if there's anybody that is dealing with change like we all are, what would be y'all's advice to somebody who's going through, is contemplating change, or is in a place where they are changing right now?
Stay on the course.
What Kay said.
Said don't fall off the horse.
Just
change
keep swimming.
Hard.
Change is hard.
It's uncomfortable. You're going to fall. You're going to get some scrapes. But stay on.
Sounds good. All right, Miss Cici, what's our sprinkle?
Take us out.
All right. So I wanted to give you a little Jesus about change. So one of the stories in the Bible is about the Israel people. And it's the Old Testament. They are God's chosen people. He was going to take them out of bondage and into the promised land. And in this journey, it ended up being 40 years when the promised land was literally like up the street. And they went all the way around. It took them so long to get through the journey. When they finally got there, they were still in the same mindset. So I think a lot of times we had spoke on this earlier, that mindset is key to change, because they were still in a bondage mindset. They were still thinking of being slaves when they were free. And they had a whole mindset of like, oh, I can't have this. They were doing a lot of complaining. And when it got to like, I gave you everything that you need, all you need to do is just walk in it, they struggled with the change. So the Israel people had a hard time doing it. So it's not that easy, but they finally got it, but it took them a long journey. So sometimes your journey may be a little bit shorter. Hopefully it's not going to be 40 years, but just hang in there, like Kay was saying. Oftentimes as people watch Christians, you think that, oh gosh, they were the ultimate change. Like, I see this person, they've changed wholeheartedly, and it sort of becomes intimidating as other people. But please understand, there is no perfect Christian. If you run across one, it's probably a devil in sheep's clothing.
Jesus.
Because there's no such thing. At the end of the day, we are all human, and we think on our human perspective first before we think spiritually. We are natural first before we're spiritual. So there are oftentimes we are going to fall. So don't let that person who condemns you or says like, oh, you ain't doing this because I ain't doing this no more, because they're probably struggling with something, because they're human, and that's human nature. So don't get discouraged, and don't think that when you become a Christian, or you ran across Christians and it kind of deters you from wanting to have a Christian life, that no, I can't do that because I have to be perfect, because you don't. Mm-hmm. I struggle on a day-to-day basis because at the end of the day, I'm natural. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to give words, my little sprinkle is a sprinkle today. I wanted to give words of encouragement, and that is from Philippians, the 4th chapter, the 6th and the 7th verse. This is the 2 verses that help me along the way when I get really discouraged about making changes. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. So while you are, even if you're thinking about change, tell God what you want, and He will help you. He'll send you the resources. He'll send you somebody. He'll send you whatever that you need so that you can start making the changes. And know that there are going to be some difficulties, and it's going to be a journey, but it can happen if you're really serious about it. Mm-hmm. That's my sprinkle.
I thought your sprinkle was gonna be weeping may endure for a night. But yeah, and at the end of the day, real talk, like, God gives us grace, and so you should give yourself some. Mm-hmm. Nobody got it right all in one day. You're not either. So, just chill out. You got it.
Yeah.
You're doing the right stuff. Thank you guys for listening.
Please follow us on social media platforms. On Facebook, we're 4 Sisters podcast, and then on Instagram, I believe we're 4 Sisters podcast as well,
as well as Twitter.
And as well as Twitter. So follow us, share, like, comment. Let us know if there's something that you're interested in.
You can find our episodes on Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube. So
we're everywhere.
We're out there. We're easy to find.
We out here.
See y'all next time. Bye.